Hi and welcome. My name's Aran Curry and I'm going to tell you a secret. The 2020 house price bubble has burst. You won't be reading that in the newspapers right now. You won't be seeing that on the news or in estate agents' windows because house prices always start to move first with off-market deals before the on-market deals work. And if you want to know what I mean by that, I'm going to tell you very shortly. So how do I know that house prices are falling with off-market deals? Because my team uncover £100 million worth of discounted deals every month with 13 specific sourcing strategies that we use. And in this video series, I'm going to be showing you how you can use the most powerful sourcing strategies to dig up at least 5 deals a month that you will want to buy with only 1 hour a week of your time. As you'll discover, many of these proven high-performing property sourcing techniques are free to start using. So you don't need much time, you don't need any money, and you can start buying discount deals at the most profitable time in over a decade while other investors wait for news of the housing market crash. Now, before we go any further, if I can just explain why the video quality isn't quite what I'd like it to be. As you know, we're in the middle of a second lockdown and we can't let people in our houses. So I normally work with a videographer, but it's just me with my laptop and my webcam speaking to you direct. So if you want to know the proven high-performing property sourcing strategies that are free to use, so you can buy discounted deals at the most profitable time in over a decade, while other investors wait for the news of the house market crash, and if the information is more important to you than the video quality, then you're going to love this 4-part video series. Now, let's talk about and show you that the house prices are already falling in off-market deals. So let's think about the newspapers first of all. The newspapers, you've probably read an article this morning, you're watching my video going, this is totally confusing. You've read an article by a whole range of newspapers or newspapers outlets where they're saying, for example, that in October, the average house price hit a new record high. But in October, the figures were significantly up compared on a year ago, etc., etc. Data like this has been flooding into the newspapers, flooding into the news outlets over the last few months. Now, is that data right? Have house prices been going up? Of course, the house prices have been going up. That data is right. But what is the exact data they're using? And what do I mean by that? Well, let me give you a couple of examples. If the newspaper source is quoting the nationwide house price index, which they often do, or they're quoting the Halifax house price index, which they often do, both of those indexes are generally based on valuations that have been done by those two banking groups, the Nationwide and the Halifax. When's a valuation done? At the moment, it's 6 to 8 weeks after a sale is agreed. So a sale agreed in August would be reported in October's figures. So you're reading in October that the housing market's gone up significantly, but that's actually August's data. Many of the newspapers, what's their source? Their source is the land registry data. Land registry is where a sale gets registered, normally about a month after it actually completes. Now, a sale completes at the solicitors about 3 months on average at the moment after it was agreed. So by the time it hits land registry, it's 4-month-old data. If you read an article that's talking about October prices, but it's based on land registry data, that's talking about the sales that were agreed in June on average. June. So the data is unbelievably out of date. What do the experts look for? The experts look for what's the general trend, what's happening with the trends, with people looking to buy a house, people searching to buy their property. It might be searches that they're doing on Rightmove. It might be prices that are getting listed on Rightmove right now. That's the current trend. But that data is very rarely available. And the newspapers don't often quote it or use it because it's more scientific and more detailed. It's not as easy as going, market's just up 7%, here's the land registry data or nationwide house price index to back that up. So the thing that I want you to get is that the market has, of course, been in an upward direction. Of course, there was a bubble. Of course, we had this bubble of growth in the summer. We came out of lockdown in spring where 2 months the market had been frozen. And during that 2-month window, of course, you've heard me say this, of course, in that 2-month window, no one could move. But you had a build-up of demand, didn't you? You had people that normally would have moved that spring weren't able to. So there's a build-up of 2-3 months of them in demand. There's people that lived together in lockdown and realised they hated each other's guts and wanted to get away from each other. They wanted to move. There's people that spent lockdown apart and realised they were madly in love and wanted to move in together. They wanted to move. A massive demand for moving. And on top of that, people going, I don't want to be locked down in a flat again. I'm going to move to somewhere that's got a garden. Or I'm going to be working from home more often now. We need somewhere with a home office or more space to work from home. So all of that led to this June, July, August spike, where house prices, of course, went in an upward direction because there's more demand than supply. Now, I think it's pretty obvious to everybody that A, that's not sustainable, and B, the market's going to fall. Okay, for all sorts of reasons. I could talk to you about COVID, meaning there's so much unemployment coming. There already is loads of it, and there's lots more to come. I can talk to you about Brexit coming and the implications of Brexit. I can talk to you about the fear that people have now that they've extended furlough till the end of March. Do you think that COVID's going away in the next 4 or 5 weeks? Absolutely not. The government know it's going to be around for a lot longer. People have got uncertainty. When people are fearful and have got uncertainty, they're not going to move. They're not going to go take the next job. And the other thing that's going to happen, you've got 5 people in a chain, 5 couples all buying each other's houses. That's 10 people. You only need one person where they lose their job. One person put on furlough again. One person who gets fearful about their job and decides not to move after all. The whole chain collapses, and we're going to see more and more of that happening in the next 2 or 3 months. So the market is already moving down, I said though, didn't I? I said in off-market deals, the market's already moving down. You're not seeing it in the papers, but it's moving down. How do I know that? The reason I know that is we've already, at the Insight Group, for our done-for-you clients, and that's not what this video is about, we've already agreed over 60 properties in November with large discounts, the majority of them off-market. We are finding off-market deals right now with large discounts. Let me show you some examples. I'll throw a couple of slides up. This is a deal that we call the Horncastle deal. It's in Lincolnshire, okay? 8 properties, top line value, £195,000, these properties. Purchase price, £154,000. That's £41,000 of discount per property, and there was 8 of them. That's £320,000 of discount from sourcing, putting our message out in the right way, so that comes to us as one deal. By the way, it's as easy to source 8 together. In fact, it's easier because less people are shopping for them than it is to source 1. So we've got £320,000 of discount with less work than it takes to find one property that you might be finding with £5,000 or £10,000 of discount. Let's throw up another example and show you another example. Here's a portfolio of 33 properties actually, and these are based in Doncaster. And these 33 properties in Doncaster, top line value, 165,000. Now, each property is valued slightly differently, but let's say it's 165,000. We're able to buy these for 142,000. That's £23,000 of discount per property. 10 to 15% discount on each of these specific properties. Let me show you another example. This is at the other end of the scale. These are cheaper properties that work incredibly well for buy-to-let. Let's look at this portfolio of 16 properties that we've agreed in Liverpool. In Liverpool, 3-bedroom, semi-detached properties, as you can see. These are valued at £80,000. £80,000, and the average purchase price for these is £64,000. That's a 20% discount from their actual value, 20%. And let me show you this final example. This final example I'm going to put up is based in Blackpool. Again, 3-bed semis. You'll see this trend because we like 3-bed properties, 3-4-bed properties. Okay, these properties, there's 10 in this particular portfolio, only 10, but there's 10 in this portfolio. They're worth about £100,000 top line. We've negotiated a 20% discount on these. So we're getting to buy these properties for £80,000. Again, there's 10 of them, 10 lots of 20,000 discount. That's £200,000 worth of discount in total on the one portfolio, or 20,000 per individual property. Now, by the way, I'm sure you'd agree these types of discounts are great discounts at any point in time. We're also agreeing loads of individual deals. So there's probably another 15 or 20 deals by the end of November that we will have agreed individual deals. So it's not just portfolios. You need to think big, and I'm going to cover that later. But individual deals are also selling for discount. Even out of estate agents, individual deals are selling for discount when people want speed and certainty. That's why someone sells a house quickly. That's why someone sells a house for a discount, if they either want speed or certainty or both. And if you can give them both speed and certainty, you'll be able to negotiate better discounts if you know how to put that across. So here's the bottom line. If you'd like to buy houses that put 4 times more money in your pocket at the most lucrative time in over a decade, while other investors are still waiting for the news of the house price crash, then you need the proven, high-performing property sourcing techniques that my team use day in, day out to uncover £100 million worth of discounted deals every single month. And by the way, if we can find 100 million, you can definitely find one house or two. Does this make sense? So let's dive in and think a bit more about this. The first thing to say is a Henry Ford quote. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. Okay, I don't know if you've heard that quote before. I'll say it again. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. Why have I said that? Well, the reason I've said that is what I'm going to tell you is going to sound unbelievable. In fact, it's going to sound way, way, way too simple. And you might therefore go, this isn't going to work. It's too simple. That's never going to work and get me discounted deals. You know what? If you think you can and you think you can't, you're probably right. If you think the proven high-performing property sourcing strategies that I'm going to share with you will work, then you'll make them work. And if you think they won't work, then you won't even use them, and they definitely won't work for you. So to help you prove Henry Ford and yourself right, I'm going to show you 3 ways to make life happen for you so you can achieve anything that you set your mind to. There's one thing that controls our outcomes in life the most, and it's our state. Our state. I'm going to throw up an image in a minute and I'll put state bang there in the middle, okay? What do I mean by state? I mean how we show up, okay? If you want exceptional results in life, if you want to get exceptional results, I'm sure you understand you need to turn up in an exceptional way. And if you want to turn up in an exceptional way, that means you need to manage your state. You need to manage how you show up. Now, let me give you some kind of feeling around this and feeling around what I mean. First of all, what I'm going to do is explain what the 3 areas are that you need to control your state, and then I'm going to describe how you get the outcomes with these, okay? There are 3 main things that affect our state. The first thing, we'll throw it up on the slide, is physiology. Physiology, okay? Our physiology affects our state. Now, to give you an example, if I said to you right now, and there's 1,000 of you listening to this video today, and I said, everybody listening, whatever nationality you are, wherever in the world you are, act depressed. Act depressed. How do you think you'd act right now if you were acting depressed? Your head would be down, wouldn't it? You'd be breathing shallow. Your shoulders would be slumped over. Someone who's depressed is down here. They might be worrying a little bit. Their hands are on their face. If we looked at 1,000 people all sat at home watching this video, they'd all be doing the same thing. Isn't that interesting? 100 different nationalities, 100 different countries, and everybody's doing the same thing, to act depressed. Now, by the way, I'm not being flippant about depression. My eldest son, I've got 5 children, my eldest son has suffered with depression in the past. You know, he's doing really well now. So I know there's medical depression, but there are a lot of people, those that aren't medically depressed, but it's something they do. It's a physiology they go into. If you sit tall like this with your chest up, your shoulders back, your head up straight, and with a smile on your face, it's incredibly difficult from here to act depressed, or to even feel depressed is very, very difficult from here, because there's a state change that's taken place, a physiology. If I said act deliriously happy, again, 100 countries, 100, you'd all be like this, wouldn't we? We'd all be smiling like this, acting really, really happy. If I said act confident and proud, you might put your shoulders back, you might put your chest up. In fact, I'm saying you might, but you do, don't you? If I said everyone acts confident and proud, the chest comes up, we sit up straighter, our shoulders are back. It's like there's a piece of string pulling us up here. Okay? So we do our physiology. And the fastest way to change your state, replace state for how you're feeling, how you show up to other people. The fastest, quickest way to change your state is to change your physiology. I'll give you one final example, and I'm hammering this home because it's so important. I've got 3 children, thankfully through their teenage years, more or less, okay? But when they were teenagers, you'd walk in the room, and I'm in danger of disappearing off the screen. They're sat like this, aren't they? They're slumped down like this. They've been watching TV for the last 2 hours. They've been on Facebook or whatever. They're in a comatose state. And if you want them to suddenly get up and do something, it seems to take 15 minutes to get them to get up and tidy something or to do something. And we get frustrated and angry and cross with them because they're not moving straight away. But the challenge is they're in a different state. If you first of all got them to stand up and you jump up and down for 2 or 3 minutes or even 2 or 3 seconds, and then you say, right, now we're going to go tidy up, they're in a different state. There's been a physiology change. Now, I learned about this maybe 10 years ago now. So my younger children, thank goodness I'm ahead of the curve with them. So if ever they're in a bad state, I'll just get them to jump up and down 3 times. And then I'll say, right, now talk to me about what your problem is. They know they can't bring me a problem without me getting them to jump up and down 3 times to change their state before they tell me that their brother or sister's beaten them up or that they can't do their homework or they're struggling with something. So the first way, one of the first ways to get better results in life is to get your state better, the way that you show up to people better, okay? Some people, you might be one of these. Some people live life permanently in an emotional home that's angry. They're in an angry state. Somebody else is permanently in a laughter state. They have fun. Somebody else is in a frustrated state. What's your emotional home? What's the place you go back to? And if that's a negative place to go back to, you need to work on changing that. You need to work on changing that. If you want different results from what you've got so far, you need to put in the hard yards and do something different. What's the second thing that changes state? Changes the way that you show up? It's what you focus on, isn't it? In this world today, there are so many things to focus on. Our brain's so powerful, it spends most of its time shutting things out. You know, that thing in the periphery of your eye right now, your brain and your eye can see it, but it's shutting it out. I've got books over here, but my brain's shutting it out because it knows it doesn't serve me. It's not important for what I'm doing right now. So your brain's very good at shutting things out. But what we focus on, we feel. That's worth writing down. What you focus on, you feel. Yeah? If the traffic warden puts a ticket on my window when I've parked on a double yellow line and I focus on the fact they gave me the ticket and I get really cross with the traffic warden, how am I going to feel? I'm going to feel really cross. However, if I focus on the fact I've got a ticket because I parked on a double yellow line, which was my fault, and I can choose next time whether to still park on a double yellow line again and risk a ticket, or whether to not do that again because I don't want a ticket again and I've owned it, I'll feel differently in that situation. But I focus on something differently. I've not focused on the traffic warden and blaming them. I focus on me and what I can do next time. So this is a key piece. What you focus on, you feel. Why can you have somebody who has the most horrendous childhood and the most horrendous upbringing and they end up with a terrible life, and you have somebody else who has the same type of horrendous childhood and the same type of horrendous upbringing, and they go on to be such a gift to the world and gift to other people? And we all know those people are out there. It's because they learned to change their state, to manage their state. They learned to focus on something else. Many people would understandably focus on that horrendous upbringing they'd had and focus on all the bad stuff that had happened to them. But the other person goes, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on making this an amazing place for other people so no one else needs to experience that ever again. And I definitely am not going to experience that again. And they focus on something totally and utterly different. What you focus on, you feel. So there's the first 2 ways to change our state and how we show up. First of all, physiology, how we move our body, how we're sat, how we show up. Hopefully right now you're still sat up tall and listening and taking this in the best way, and you're not learning like this slumped. And secondly, focus. What we focus on, we feel. What's the third thing that changes our state? It's our language and meaning that we put on things. It's our language and meaning. If someone comes to you and says, you don't want to speak to that person, they're not very nice, that's some language they've used. Will you feel differently about that person than if someone comes to you and says, hey, they're a great lady or a great man? Of course you will. But it's just a change of language, isn't it? Now, who feeds your brain most with language? It's you. It's you. What's the kind of language you use? Is it positive language or negative language? By the way, I'm not somebody who's like, rah, rah, think positive, think positive. If there's some weeds in the garden, there's weeds in the garden. You think positive, that doesn't get rid of the weeds. We need to get the weeds, rip them out and deal with them. So we need to know where the reality is. But equally, going, there's weeds everywhere, there's weeds everywhere, there's weeds everywhere, just because you've got 5 weeds that you can rip out in the next 30 seconds is not productive, does not help you. So what is your go-to language? What's the language you use? I'm a pain in the neck with this. You know, with my family, for example, Layla, my wife, such a gift to me, but she's a bit of a worrier sometimes. So she might worry, and that serves me in so many ways. I'm out there, the gladiator, getting stuff done, and she's worrying, going, hang on a minute, we just need to be careful. And sometimes I feel that's holding me back, and sometimes it really serves us because she'll just put me in check for a minute before I charge in, okay? However, she has to be really careful with her languaging, because if she brings that language of worry to the table, then it brings my gladiator back in, and I don't go and destroy that wall and get us to where we should have got to. I don't go get that next thing done, because the language becomes a language of worry, for example. So I want you to think about the language you're using and the meaning that you put on things. Is this the end, or is this the beginning? Would you act differently to somebody if it was the end or the beginning? By the way, if you're in a relationship and you think you're nearing the end of the relationship, here's a quote for you. If you treat somebody at the end of the relationship like you treated them at the beginning, there'll never be an end. Isn't that an interesting one? If you treat someone at the beginning of end of the relationship like you treat them at the beginning, there'll never be an end. There'll never be an end. It's what meaning you put on it. If you think it's the end of the relationship, they can be trying their best to be really, really nice, and you're still not going to even notice, because you're going to notice the one thing they did wrong today. But if you think it's the start of a relationship and you're madly in love with them, or you're falling madly in love with them, they can be doing 3 things great and 3 things badly you don't like, and you're just blinded to the bad things. But they're so amazing, it's so wonderful, because of what you're focused on, the language you're using, and the meaning you're putting on that. Does this make sense? So you can see the triad on the screen now. Your physiology, your focus, and your language. If you can work on these 3 things, and this isn't easy to change. This isn't easy to change. And I'm not saying that sometimes you won't get cross or upset or angry, okay? That can happen. But you don't want to stay in that state for any length of time. Ideally, no more than 90 seconds in an angry state or a down state or a frustrated state, just because it doesn't serve you. You know you don't make good decisions from those states. Nobody does. No one on the planet does. You need to be in a confident, proud, certain state. From here, we make great decisions. From here, we move forward in the best possible way. So work on those 3. Write that down. Watch this video back again and see how you can improve how you work in those 3 areas. Now that you understand the importance of standing tall and saying, I can find off-market discount deals, you can use what I've just taught you in all areas of your life and go teach it to your kids. I hope you do. But let's go back to property sourcing. You use this in property sourcing to say, I can find off-market discount deals, and I will find off-market discount deals that put 4 times more money in my pocket when I follow Aran's system. Now you get that, let me tell you about the one tool, or the one key tool, one of the key tools my team used to dig up those 60 plus discounted deals that we agreed to buy during November. That tool is what I call property identity. There is one sourcing tool that pulled in the majority of these deals this month. As I said, we've got 13 and they all work, by the way. They all work brilliantly. Ideally, you have them all in your toolbox. But there's one sourcing tool I can teach you right now that you can go out and start to use. So let's dive in now and look at what I call property identity. Property identity. One of the 13 strategies that we use, and we use it a heck of a lot in November to get the majority of these 60 discounted deals that we bought and agreed in November, is an amazingly simple to use strategy. And as you've seen, it uncovers lots of discounted deals. The tool is only 4 sentences. 4 sentences that you write and then you post on social media, or you're using networking scenarios. And like I said, I call this 4-sentence sourcing tool your property sourcing identity. This is the tool that will bring you more deals than you can comfortably buy, faster than you dare to dream when you use it. So why is it so important? Have you ever been to a networking event where you started talking to someone and before you knew it, 15 or 20 minutes had passed? And then you go in for the actual talk that you've come to see or the meeting that you've come to, and then after that you head home. So at the end of the day, you went to a networking event and you spoke to one person. It may have been at the beginning, it may have been in the break. And looking back with reflection, that one person may have been a really nice person. You enjoyed your time with them, and that's why you got on and chatted for a while. But they're actually no good for you for your property investing journey. They can't add a massive amount of value. You're no good for them. You're never going to do any business together. Nothing's going to come from that conversation that you had. Maybe a friendship, but nothing for your financial future and building a financial fortress for the future and your property investing future. Now, how often does that happen at networking events? How often does that happen at life or at training events you go to? You know, have you been to 10 networking events and that's happened 10 times? And if you have, by the way, you're not on your own. It's totally common. It's totally normal. The reason that happens is you're not focused. It's because you don't have a property identity. I want you to be able to use your property identity so the other person immediately knows within 10 or 15 seconds if they can work with you, if they can't work with you, or if they know somebody else that you should speak to. So 3 outcomes there. I'm interested, I could work with you. I'm definitely not interested and I don't know anyone else that would be interested. Or thirdly, I'm not interested, but I know someone else that might be. Can I introduce you to that? And you want to get to that point as quick as you can so you can either carry on talking or move on. Move on. In that 20 minutes, you can meet 20 people and find out the one in the room that's going to be the right one to work with instead of having to go to 20 meetings, 1 a month before that happens. That's how you can turn networking events into a business growth strategy. And that only happens where you can tell the other person your property identity. Now, I get, by the way, right now, you can't get to networking events. There are some of them running online, by the way, so don't give up on them. There are some running online, but I get at the moment you can't go to loads and loads of networking events, okay? However, what I can tell you is that you can also use this same 4-sentence property identity, as I said earlier on social media. You can put it on Facebook, you can put it on LinkedIn, you can put it on your posts, you can put it in property investor groups and immediately have groups of people read it and be able to decide, yes, I can work with you. No, I can't work with you and don't know anyone else that can. Or, no, I can't work with you, but I do know someone else that might be the right person to introduce you to. Now, there are only 4 steps to crafting your property sourcing identity because it's only a 4-sentence piece. The first is, what do you bring to the table? I'll expand on all of these in a minute. The second is building your piece a little bit. The third is what you're looking for. And the fourth is, in what location are you looking to invest? So let's dive in and understand each of these 4 pieces. First of all, let's look at what you bring. You need to bring 1 or more of 3 critical property investing elements to the table. I'll throw the image up here. So there are 3 things that have to be at the table to successfully invest in property. The first is somebody needs to put time in. You need time to source great deals. You need time to negotiate on them. You need time to get the property bought, time to refurbish it, time to manage it, rent it and manage it. It needs time. Secondly, you need money, don't you? Someone has to put the money in. You can't buy a deal with no money. Someone has to put the money in. And when I started out on my property investing journey, I put in the time, somebody else put in the money. Neither of us had the third thing, experience. So my first 10 purchases were a disaster. And it wasn't even my money that we were losing. It was somebody else's. It was only when we got experience at the table as well. I committed to mastery, learned from the best in the world I could find, just like you're doing now, listening to me. And it wasn't until I committed to that point that I started to get outstanding results. And another 7 properties got me financially free and my partner financially free, the person I was investing with. Just another 7 deals once we knew what we were doing. But only when we had all 3 at the table, time, money, and experience. So what you have to do is you have to think about and work on, what are you going to bring to the table? Do you have loads of time available to bring to the table? Do you have loads of money available to bring to the table? Or do you have loads of experience available to bring to the table? And then where's your gap? What is it that you're looking for? If you were bringing experience and money, you might be looking for deals, for example. So it's really important to focus on the 3 critical property investing elements that you bring to the table and what you bring to the table of each one. Okay. Secondly, you build your piece. You need to describe some of your property accomplishments so the other person knows you're credible. If you haven't invested in property before, are you a great organizer? Are you great at planning? Are you great at putting things together? Are you great at making a team work? What are you great at? By the way, if you don't know, message 5 of your friends right now and say, hey, I'm just doing this training. Would you mind telling me what I'm great at? You might get some sarcastic responses depending on your friends. Then message back and say, no, seriously, what am I great at? You'll have a lovely experience anyway, because they'll tell you what you're great at. You'll tell them back what they're great at. And wouldn't that be nice anyway, just as a side impact of watching this video? But you need to get that together so you can build your piece. I'm going to give you some examples in a moment. Thirdly, what you're looking for. So then you need to say what you're looking for, such as I'm looking for investors with over £250,000 who'd like a great return on investment. That's totally clear. Investors with over 250,000 that would like a great return on investment. Is that you? Yes, no, or no, it's not me, but I know someone who is. Or I'm looking for 200 plus investment properties with a 20% discount I can buy today. Or you might say I'm looking for 10 plus investment properties with 20% discount I can buy today. Property identity sentence 4 is location. Location. You tell the other person where you invest. It's really important, especially if you're doing sourcing, and we're building here a property identity for sourcing. You can use this strategy to raise money, by the way. So after all, if you invest in Scarborough, you don't want deals that are in London, okay? So now that you've seen the 4 sentences you need to write, let me give you some property identity examples so you can see how they fit and they gather together. Here's the property identity I use to source big portfolios. By the way, pause and take a screenshot if you want to. Hi, my name's Aaron. I specialise in family lets. We have funds to purchase 200 plus properties and the expertise to get it done. We need sellers of large portfolios who will take a 20% discount to sell fast. Do you know anybody like that? It's really, really clear, isn't it? It's very easy for someone to say, yes, me, I've got a big portfolio to sell. No, I don't know anyone selling a portfolio. Or no, not me, but one of my friends is selling a portfolio, maybe them. Don't know if they'll take a discount, but maybe. It's really easy for someone to say yes, no, or maybe to that. It's really clear, it's really succinct, and it takes me less than 10 seconds to say those 3 sentences. When I first meet someone, that's what I'd say. When I post on social media, that's what I'd say. When I go in a social media, a Facebook group, a LinkedIn group, that's what I'd say. Let's show you another example. Hi, my name's John, and I specialise in service accommodation in Leeds. I have the expertise and time to turn buy-to-let properties into properties that make £1,000 per month. I'm looking for landlords who would like to get better returns on their buy-to-lets. Do you know anyone like that? I mean, that's really clear, isn't it? Really succinct. And by the way, if you had a buy-to-let in Leeds, wouldn't you be interested at least in talking to John? He's going to catch your attention. What, you're telling me instead of £100 or £200 a month, I can get £1,000 a month? Yeah. So if you'd like to build a rent-to-rent or rent-to-service accommodation portfolio, you can see that you can do it with a well-written property identity. So if you want to attract landlords to rent rather than to buy their houses, then copy this property identity and change it to your situation. That's a rent-to strategy. Here's another example. Hi, my name's Claire. I specialise in holiday lets in North Yorkshire. Really clear. Holiday lets, North Yorkshire. I've got the time and expertise to make far higher investment returns from larger 6 to 8 bedroom properties. I'm looking for landlords with a 6 to 8 bedroom property for sale or rent who would like to sell rent fast. Do you know anyone like that? It's really easy for me to go, yes, me, no, not me, but somebody else, or no, I don't know anyone at all. I'll show you one last one for now that's about money. But I just want to show you how this works. Hi, my name's Paula. I specialise in building investors' large portfolios in Manchester. I've got the experience and time to source world-class properties. I'm looking for investors with £250,000 plus who would like a portfolio and superb return on investment. Do you know anyone like that? It's really, really clear. It's really clear what Paula's looking for. It's really clear what she brings to the table, and she's built up a piece. There's one more part to the story that I need to tell you, and it shows up in all of these because some of you will have already, and you'll already know it when I say it in a moment, you'll have looked at the ones that I've been listing. You've been saying, well, but I don't want 200 plus houses, or I don't want people with 250 grand or 6 to 8. These are all big things, okay? I need you to understand the importance of thinking big, of thinking big. This is a massive tool for you to have in the locker. Okay. I want you to understand this. You see, in life, you get what you ask for. So if you ask for one house, what's the most that you can get? One house. If you ask for one discounted deal, what's the most you can get? One discounted deal. If you ask vaguely, by the way, would you like more money? I'd like more money. I'd like to earn more. People say to me, I'd like to earn more, Aaron. I said, great, there's £1. Off you go. Yeah, you've got what you asked for. You asked for more money, you got £1. That's more money. Off you go. We have to ask intelligently. So that's why this property identity is so crucial, that we have to think big. You have to go for this and think big. Okay? If you ask for 10 houses, then that will bring landlords to you who want to sell larger portfolios. It will also bring people to you who only want to sell 1 or 2. But now they're coming to you, they're saying, I know you want 10, but would you be interested in these? They're almost begging you to look at their 1 or 2. Whereas before, you were begging them to look at their 1 and be able to put an offer on their 1. You've totally changed the position of power by positioning yourself as somebody who deals with bigger things, bigger and better things. Same with money. If you ask for people with £250,000 plus, the person with 50,000 can still say, well, I've only got 50. Would you be interested in working with me? And you're totally positioned at this point. But if you ask for 50, the most you'll get from anyone is 50. The person with 250 or $500,000 will still only give you 50. Thinking big will change the game for you. You put yourself in a different bracket. The other way you put yourself in a different bracket is positioning yourself as an expert that gets things done. That is attractive to other people. That is attractive. So if you're asking and looking for a portfolio of 20 properties, that attracts people towards you. People want to work with you, and it's a 4-sentence piece. Who would you rather work with, an amateur or an expert? Someone looking for 20 properties or someone looking for 1 property? Okay. If you want to sell your house fast, do you want to work with the expert that's buying big portfolios or the amateur that buys 1 house a year? And when you tell the world that you're looking for landlords that want to sell portfolios of 10 or more houses, people will still come to you, like I've said, to sell that 1 single property as well. But they'll approach you in a different way. I know you're looking to buy 10 plus houses, but would you be interested in my house? Totally different way, because you've positioned yourself as the expert. Inside, you're screaming with excitement, but on the outside, you can be as cool as a cucumber and say you'll look at their house. So we've covered a lot of ground here. This was quite a long video. You might want to go back through it and just make some more notes. I hope you've been taking notes like crazy. And as you know, hard-won secrets will not change your life without action. It is learning times action that equals results. We all know the busy fool that runs around taking loads of action without any learning. And we all know some geniuses, they've done loads of learning, but they don't take much action, do they? And they're not getting good results either. So you need to do the learning, and then you need to take the action. So I'm going to get you to practice that now. I'm going to ask you, well, it's to help you. I'm going to ask you to take a small action to use these hard-won secrets that I've just given you. I've given you freely here to help you on your way. So I want you to take a small action to use them. I'm going to ask you to write your own 4-sentence property identity. You've seen it's only 4 sentences, and I've given you some examples that you can even use as a template. If you'd like to see them written out, you can download the ebook. There's an ebook that comes with this video that accompanies it, and you can find the link to download it either now below the video or somewhere around us, and you can go download that ebook, and it's got them written down. And then what I'd like you to do is use those templates and write your own 4-sentence property identity. If you use the template that's closest to your situation, it should take you no more than 10 minutes to do this. And then I'm going to ask you to take one more step. I love working with action takers. I want you to post it either on your Facebook group or your LinkedIn group, or go find a property group on one of those 2 and post it and see what happens. Remember, this is one of the most powerful tools that my team used to buy up to 60, well, over 60 discounted deals in November, when house prices officially are rising at their fastest rate, and we're buying off market with massive discounts. Massive discounts. Remember, my team dig up £100 million worth of discounted deals every single month using 13 proven sourcing strategies. Two of the most powerful are thinking big and your property identity. Now you know the difference that a 4-sentence tool can make to your financial future. I'm asking you to just take 10 minutes of your life right now. There's no benefit to me if you're doing this, to write your own property identity and to post it on your Facebook and LinkedIn profile and see what happens. In the next video in this series, I'm going to show you how to dig up houses that put 4 times more money in your pocket than a normal property portfolio would, and are easier to manage. So if you'd like your property journey to be much more profitable with less hassle, you're going to love the next video that you're going to get in a couple of days. In the meantime, thanks for watching this video today, and I'll see you in a couple of days' time. Until then, look after yourself and the people you love. Invest with knowledge, invest with confidence, create financial freedom. I'll see you soon. Thank you.